Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm in the shop today and I just tried several times to shoot a video on porting my heads. I'm here by the door of the shop and just so I can get a signal. I'm really trying to get videos to you guys uh, on things that I'm doing, like I was porting the heads on the 78 Camaro. And I tried to do a video on it. I got a couple of the bowls and stuff done, but this damn thing just keeps this. I'm gonna have to get a better system, a better camera. I'm trying to do this off my cell phone, and every time I live way out in the country, and then I'm in a steel building. Every time I get back into the corner of this shop, like back here by my toolbox is where I am porting these heads, and every time I go back here, it'll shut this video right off. So I've tried to start the video several times, and it's not filming, and so I apologize. I know I told you guys that I was going to do a video on disassembling a block. I got the block disassembled, and there's not a whole lot to it. Now, if you're just doing a re-ring and you're using your same pistons and you're putting everything back in there in the same thing, you're not really doing a full rebuild, then yeah, you probably want to keep, as you're tearing your block down, you want to keep your pistons matched up in the exact cylinder that it's going to. And what I usually do is, before I get ready to take the rod caps off, I'll take a center punch and I'll just punch 1 for number 1 cylinder, 2 for 2 cylinder. So on the bottom of the rod cap, I'll have a dot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for each cylinder it went into. Helps me identify what cylinder it goes into. And then you also want to mark in some way, just pick a way, the front, which way the piston went in. You don't want to flip the rod around and get it backwards. So put a mark on there so rod's facing this way, number 1, facing towards the front of the block. Just to kind of make sure you keep everything in order. A lot of people go to the extent of the exact push rod in there. Now, if you're using your same lifter, if you're well, I guess if you're doing a re-ring, you really don't need to take your cam lifters out. So that's not really a big issue. But if by chance, you're rebuilding your engine and you've put a new cam and lifters in it and it's got 500 miles, 1,000 miles on it, then you want to match up that lifter with that cam lobe. So, but if it's a engine that's got a lot of miles on it, you're probably going to want to put a new cam and lifters in anyway. So it's not that important to keep the lifters and the cam matched up. But like I said, if it's a fairly new cam, let's say you did an upgrade, you put a new cam in, and you're like, oh, you got 500,000 miles on it. You want to, okay, I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the engine. Then you want to match up that lifter with that cam lobe, so you need to keep that organized. Back in the day, I worked at Franklin Power Products, and we rebuilt diesel engines for Ford, 6.9, 7.3s, and then we started getting into the new generation diesels. We built 9 liters, which went in fire trucks. We built some small block Chevys, some Fords, some Internationals, 345, 392s. So, when you see these people, it's like, oh, you got to match everything up and put it back in the exact same spot. Well, if you're doing a total rebuild, you're pulling all your rods off your pistons, you're not just doing a re-ring. I really don't think that is totally necessary, because when we rebuild them engines, the teardown section, we had a rod department. So you pulled all the rods off the pistons. So each engine that they disassembled, they didn't keep each rod and each valve and each, you know what I'm saying, for that particular engine. Everything was machined, remanufactured, reassembled, different rods, different pistons. You know what I'm saying. So, and that's what we're doing here with this engine. It's a total rebuild. So I wasn't really concerned about putting the same rod on the same position on the crank and all that stuff. The same valve, the same intake valve that came out of the head of the number one cylinder, and the same exhaust valve came out of the head on the number one cylinder. All that's not really necessary as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people probably have different opinions. So, but anyway, I know I told you, like I said, I was doing a little video on tearing down the engine, but I've got to get a different system here because I really want to help you guys out. I want to put videos out there, but I just got to find a way to do it where this cell phone that I got don't keep cutting off in the middle of my shop. So, but anyway, when you're tearing down, just keep that in mind. If you're just doing a re-ring, you need to keep everything in the same position that it's going into. But if you're doing a total rebuild, not that important. And then you just gotta. Then it's cleaning time. Parts cleaner. Clean up all your push rods. Clean up all your valves. Clean up all your stuff. Knock out all the freeze plugs. Your oil galley plugs. Pull them out. Replace them. Clean your block. I honed the block. I got a bore gauge, and it was already 30 over. So it's, from the machine shop, it was a 4.030. So, as I honed it out, you always get that little, let me see if I can get over here and show you the bores, the cylinders, without my phone going off. If it goes off, I apologize. I'll send what I got now, and again, I'm just letting you guys know I'll try to get something in here so I can shoot some better videos without this stuff going off, because we're getting close to reassembly on the engine, and I definitely want to do a video on the assembly of the engine, putting piston rings on, stabbing the pistons in the cylinders, main bearings, rod bearings, all that. I want you guys to all these guys out there just starting to wrench on cars, you need to know tricks. You need to know tips. You're lucky. You young guys are lucky that you got YouTube and you got social media and stuff like that. Back when I did it, I learned the hard way. I remember one time, I'll tell you a little story. I remember one time I had a 78 Chevy short bed. I built an engine in it for it, 350. I just started doing this stuff. I worked at Franklin Power Products, so I got all my block and all my stuff done, for free because I worked at the place. If you clock out and then you can go do your stuff, off the clock, and they don't care. But anyway, I think this was probably my second engine, small block Chevy, that I ever built for this Chevy. And I got that thing built, and I couldn't get it running, and I had trouble with the distributor, and I didn't know all these tricks and all these tips. I didn't know how to get my the best way to get my number one piston up to TDC, top dead center, get my distributor set. I had it 180 off, and I kept calling this guy at this auto parts store. It wasn't a big chain. It wasn't like an AutoZone or whatever like that. It was just the small town auto supply place. I kept asking him questions. I call him 2-3 times a day every weekend for a month. And finally the guy's like, dude, he said, do you buy anything here? I'm like, well, yeah, I want to buy some parts and stuff. He says, well, quit calling me and bugging me and figuring it out. If you're not buying stuff here, lose my phone number, which, I get it. I was pestering the hell out of him. I was young. I was probably early 20s, 19, 20. I don't know. But it's a funny story. So back then, that was my only source of information. It's like, call the guy up and said, hey, dude, I have this problem. What could be, it's the truck's doing this. It ain't starting. What could be the problem? And he starts. So it's a good thing you guys got YouTube. And that's why I want to do videos like this, because to take advantage of the technology, because back in the day, I learned the hard way, believe me. But anyway, let me go over here and see if I can show you these cylinders. You're always going to have a ring ridge, is what they call it, a ring lip, whatever, to where when that piston's going up and down, the highest point, your TDC on each cylinder, where that ring will stop, and then you got the combustion, and then the combustion of a cylinder forcing that piston back down, you always got a little ring ridge. Now, when I hone these cylinders out, like I said, for the machine shop, it was probably 4.030, and I used my bore gauge as like 4.03839. So they're only, 7 or 8, 9 thousandths over, and I think the tolerance is 30. According to the book, is like 25, 30 thousandths. You know what I mean? Before you have to really start going to a 40 over. But let me go over here. If this cuts off, I apologize. I'll shoot videos as soon as I can. And but anyway, okay. So far, so good. Now, if you can see that right up here, ring ridge right up in there. I got them honed out. I got them cleaned up so you can see it over here on this one. But that's not that bad. You're talking about that little ring ridge is only probably 4 or 5 thousandths. And if you're a perfectionist and you really want to take it to the machine shop and have it done, take it to the machine shop. But I'm telling you, that's not going to hurt nothing. If it's still in the tolerance, if it's still in specs, if I think the factory specs was on a factory bore, 4-inch bore was 3.9995 to a 4.025, so it's 30 thousandths. So if that's the tolerance from factory, from a spec, then you'd have to imagine that would be the same 30 over, 40 over, 60 over, 30 thousandths tolerance. So this engine was built not too long ago. I imagine it's probably got 30, 40,000 miles on it, 50,000 maybe. Because when I honed that out and I use my bore gauge, I'm at 4.03738, maybe 4.39, somewhere around in there. I don't know. But anyway, I'll try to shoot better videos for you guys, and hope you enjoy the videos. Hit like, subscribe, tell your friends. We're getting close to building this engine for the Camaro 78. In fact, I got it right here. I got the doghouse off of it. I got the firewall sandblasted, and I got to do some body work on the firewall. Like right here where some rust going through and they drilled holes. Same down there. Right here's a big one. Some of it's factory, but that stuff's just rot. So I got to get it fixed. I'll do videos on that and stuff too. But anyway, hit like, subscribe. Talk to you later.